friends, it's Deanna Whittleston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm very excited to say I just got another overseas package. This one does say it came from the UK. It is from St. Hugh's Charterhouse in West Sussex, UK. It came with this lovely little handwritten note, and you can see what it is here, friends. Now, if you remember when I talked about Didier Rance's book on John Bradburne, I had gotten in touch with him, and he let me know that there's this little tiny book here on the mystical dimension of the poetry of John Bradburne and the Carthusian. It is by Anna, and I can't pronounce her last name. I'm just going to show it to you. So this is a little tiny book, as well as she has written a tinier book for John Bradburne's Centenary, and we all know it is going to be John's 100th year this year, and so this is a tiny book of poetry as well as accompanying art that she has written. So very lovely. And let's just jump in. The beauty of living. Let's just jump in and read one here so that you can get a little gist and see if you can grab a hold of a copy of this as yourself. Happy as a primrose, unrestrained, as the wind of heaven John traced the earth, restoring trust in human goodness when God keeps the heart. And now he's gone, will less he do? With more than human forces he sows the playful primrose across the world, makes pain a peaceful grace, makes laughter a work of love. Who could resist his mirth or envy not his love of life? With subtle humor he found, where you and I find human weakness a bore, a waste of time. His view was lighter in vain, because his heart was more in love with God, his vision bathed in irrepressible light. The beauty of living when living is for God. So this is, friends, a lovely little book. It's published by St. Hugh's Press in 2021, so you may be able to go out and find that on the internet. If I can find a link for just this, I will give it to you, but I will also send you the link in the description for where I found this. It's not super chunky. It's very paper bound. There's a distinct possibility that they print these one off at a time. And let's see exactly what it is. You know, we like to go in. I will warn you, I've previewed it a little bit, and I cannot say all the names as usual. It does have some editors as well. Let's see. And the year is 2007. And I'm going to guess at the translation here it was published by the Institute for perhaps Anglican and American University at Salzburg. Let's see, jump in here. So there is an introduction, and then there's two parts. Part one is the demystification of mysticism, and part two is through the mystical darkness towards the light. Of course, there's lots of subheadings in here, as well as a reference section on references and 3 appendixes. Let's jump back, friends, and look at what those are quick, because you know how important it is for me to do a book walk. Let's see what exactly this is. So references, it is a bibliography. So it's not going to be endnotes. I think the footnotes are just throughout the book right where they are. They appear to be parenthetical references. So they're not even endnotes or footnotes. She does all parenthetical references. That's great. And then the bibliography is at the back. So if you want to know more, it is right there in the back. Starting on page 101. So that's pretty easy to find. Yay. They're not usually quite that easy, are they, friends? And then there are several pages there. So lots of great books there for you to get out and look. Appendix 1 is a general timetable of an ordinary day in the Charterhouse for the Carthusians. Oh, lovely. Okay, so it gives you just what their day looks like so that you can reference back to that. Appendix 2 is the engraving of the Carthusian cross. Again, you can get to know them a little bit more by looking at those. Appendix 3 says through the mystical darkness towards light, and that is a nice chart at the end, and I'm going to make you go out and get the book to grab that. And let us just jump in here. I'm just going to jump a few tiny passages for you in the introduction. I'm going to just jump in and read this little bit. Mystical poetry offers a rich as well as absorbing source of data for the examination of the mystical imagination. In this research, poetry is not only used as a textual reference, to illustrate the theoretical concept, but it is itself to be illuminated through the analysis of mystical elements. Lovely. And she does talk about John. She talks about the book she used in this of John's was the biography by Father John Dove, so Strange Vagabond of God, as well as she used, and then she also used the 1986 book by Professor David Crystal under the title Songs of the Vagabond, as well as 2 Carthusian collections entitled Bonitas, Hush to Silence, and Whispers from Our Carthusian Cell. They were published in 2000 and 2005, respectively. I don't know if you can hear the little critters out here. I'm not mic'd up, so you may be hearing all the lovely nature sounds around me. The birds are singing, as well as Brother Crow has been singing his love song. Yep, there's a little guy over here who is scratching out for worms, as well as I know that the groundhog is out, so if she walks by behind me, don't be startled. And we have a tom turkey running around here. He is looking for love as well, and he's cut through the neighborhood a few times today. Big excitement here. But I thought this was the perfect place to get out here and read you just a little bit of this exciting book. Interesting. And this is from one of the Carthusian ones, so it's actually a shaped poem. The cross, the form of love, is still a king dead upon a hill. Oh, what is love, and yet does kill? So fierce in bloom, that love which broke the tomb. Lovely, lovely. And you can see these are mystical poetries. What is it talking about? Towards the mystical light. Mystical light is inseparable from darkness in its hidden presence, but is also claimed to be the conclusive stage of going forth from the finite world to the infinite being of God. In the state of divine intimacy obtained darkly within the night, the soul approaches God in a condition similar to the eye finding itself dazzled by the light of the sun. Nevertheless, the eye remains dazzled and feels for the moment blurred by darkness and seemingly reduced to blindness. This physical sensation of darkness is utilized by the mystical literature to express the fact that, quote, the awesomeness of divine essence is more than human nature can endure, and that is by St. Gregory of Nyssa there. St. Gregory the Great conceives God as, quote, the boundless and unencompassed light, and contemplation is compared to the endeavor to fix the eye of the heart on the very ray of unencompassed light. But in this life, no one is able to fix the mind's eye on the light, and all that can be done is to attain somewhat of the light by stealth and scantily. St. Augustine speaks of the infusion of the true light in the incorporeal light, the state of wonderful enlightenment that the mystics have experienced over centuries, filling pages with extremely exuberant descriptions, is ultimately embraced through the medium of darkness. In the mystical night, all human capacities are voided. The mind stays dark, seemingly filled with nothing, since all reasoning is terminated. This is the bare necessity that animates the infusion of divine light into the human mind at the moment of belief. Johnston. This is the moment of rising faith, which is not based on conceptual knowledge. For that reason, it is called supraconceptual enlightenment. Again, Johnston. And it is adequately presented as obscure or dark, yet not in the sense that it is deprived of certitude, but because it is unclear and indistinct. It is only in the obscurity of faith, which is believed to be an infused gift of God, that the soul can reach the transcendent light of the Godhead. He is concealed for the intellect, but can be captured by faith, whose obscurity is symbolized traditionally by darkness or the cloud. This is the doctrine stated by St. Gregory of Nyssa, leading up to St. John of the Cross, passing through the teaching of the Rhineland mystics to the author of the Cloud of Unknowing. After them, St. John of the Cross, voicing a long tradition, claims in unmistakable terms that the Cloud of Unknowing is the darkness of faith, for faith is a black and dark cloud to the soul, paradoxically giving light in the mystical night. In other words, the cloud of darkness and an intensely bright light blinding the mind of the contemplatives. Oh, how beautiful this book is, friends. Let's jump to one of John Bradburne's poems in here and see just quickly what she says. Empty of eyes, your face is all a smile of grace, a sight that gives brightness unallowed. Your soul it is that shows, and outwardly it glows, declaring even blindness is enjoyed. That was found in Servant of God. It is untitled, but number 216, lines 1 through 6. In this, John was describing the lepers. His lepers are immersed in a state of unearthly mirth and indeed become the center in which God never ceases to be in act. The invisible light bestowed on them and transmitted into their consciousness not only enhances their faith, but also changes their approach to their own infirmity. Casting off their physical sight, the lepers find the spiritual one. As a result, they shine with secret cheer. Their vision of our hidden God is strong. That is from the vision of the blind. Being guided by the light of faith, the poet undertakes a task of patient charity to decode the enigma of the human being. And the poem goes on. I, when the night is deep, survey the starry steep and strive to pierce the infinite beyond. But Peter and the blind, more peaceful is your mind, and you achieve what I have conned, your fellowship surveys. What passes sight, the rays of hidden light conduct you like a wand. Oh, how beautiful. And she does go on. It says, it is remarkable that John Bradburne, conducted by the inner light, incorporates into the poem the two-ply perspective of the poet and a man helping the needy. As a consequence, his mystical and creative intuition may glow harmoniously. Friends, if you are a fan of John's poetry at all as I am, this book is enticing me in. I can't say what my end result or review would be, but this is definitely going to be a must-need read. I know that every time I listen to or read one of John's poems, especially with the 100-Day Poetry Project going on right now, as I hear the poem the first time, I take it at first glance to be about nature, or as these to be about blindness or lepers, and it doesn't sit with me. There's a line or a phrase in there that just kind of burns within me just a little bit, and it teases me and says, come, pay more attention to me. I am the key. And once I really meditate in prayer, that little line, it unlocks the entire poem to a much deeper level. And it's just such a beautiful thing to contemplate that throughout my day. And I admit that I've abandoned most of my Lenten studies for this instead, because it is just deepening my faith so much. And of course, I'm still trying to do the gratitude project. I'm stuck. I've been trying to write someone a kind note or letter every day. And for some reason, writing cards used to come so naturally to me, and it's very difficult for me right now. But John, we know, wrote most of his letters in poetry, and so perhaps I will try and do that as well. Someone sent me a birthday card that included a poem, and that was a lovely little treat, because I used to be so immersed in that, and I'm not anymore. And it even makes me think of how St. Francis, he studied the Psalms and recited them so much that it became his language. And if you've read, I know I've reviewed it, I'm going to point up here so I remember, the Passion of the Christ, so the Liturgy of the Passion of the Christ, I'm getting it all wrong, the Little Office of the Passion of Christ, written by St. Francis. You'll see how he takes little snippets from all different Psalms and puts them together kind of in a new way, but as a lens to examine Christ. It's hard to even describe. It's like St. Francis's language became the Psalms. He spoke in Psalms, but in bits and pieces, it became his language. He took the Psalms and broke them back down into smaller lines and reconstituted them, but kept their original purpose. Because all the Psalms really do point us to Christ, and everything has like prefigurements in it. And so it's wonderful how he then can say, okay, I'm going to unlock it for you. And it's almost how, right, Christ unlocked all the scriptures on that road to Emmaus, and everyone saw it in a new way, and they were like, how did I never see that? And that's the way John Bradburne does that, but with nature. So he doesn't use Psalms, because we know that God is revealed to us, friends, that he's revealed to us in the Word itself, right? The Word of the Bible, in Scriptures, that God reveals himself to us through Scriptures. But the word, logos, is also nature, right? All was created through him. All was created with him. All was created for him. All was created through him. And that is Christ. And that is where St. Francis comes in and tried to show us that. When he's saying, little brother stick, he's trying to reveal something about Christ to us. And here I am, I'm sitting here breaking this little stick just as a little fidgety thing. But Christ was broken for our little bad habits, wasn't he? and he was broken and bent for them. And so even this little stick right now is speaking to me of God. Even this little tiny spider who's dashing across this leaf, who's saying, do you even see me? I'm hidden, but I am always here. Even this little spider is saying it to me. He ran across this leaf and then just stopped and posed for me till I could reflect on him. And so St. Francis could see, he not only unlocked the Psalms for us, friends, but he unlocked nature for us. He opened that door, and I think John Bradburne jumped right into it. Oh my goodness, friends, look at this. Can you see this tiniest little downy feather? It's like a downy little feather off a little chick here. There is so much, because I feel like I am that little chicken. Maybe I'm molting a little bit of my downy little feathers, and maybe I'll get some flight feathers soon and begin to soar on the wings of poetry and love of God. So, yeah, you can see how fruitful just reading those little portions of that book were for me. So I'm definitely going to have to dive into that. I know I've got so many books that I haven't finished 100% because I get so excited about them, and I get all this contemplation, and it's hard to process everything, friends. But that's one of the beauties of Lent, right? We're sacrificing kind of some of our bad habits and things. So I might normally be inside eating cookies and watching TV for an hour or so in the afternoon for my snack time, and instead I ran out here to do this video, and I'm sitting here contemplating God through poetry and through nature, and it's just been a lovely time with you. I hope that you enjoy these and that these are unlocking the word for you as well, right? God reveals himself to us through nature and through scripture, and we need to spend time with both as well. Get out there and spend some time purely in adoration of the Lord. Go to adoration. Make sure you're going to confession. Make sure that your relationship with the Lord is set before Easter. Remember, we do have that one obligation, a whopping one time you must go to confession a year, and it doesn't seem like such a big deal until you're like locked inside in this pandemic, and it is a big deal, and for some people it's super scary to get out. But give it a try. If you can't get out to confession right now, or you're afraid to go out, if you have some health concerns and you're a little afraid to go out and expose yourself for confession right now, I'm encouraging you, friends, call your priest. Call him and ask him if you can't make an appointment. Perhaps he will come out to your car and give you confession, or that you could sit at like a picnic bench or something outside and he could do it. Try and make arrangements with him. You really need to. It is an obligation to go once a year, and I understand completely that some of you are a little more afraid of going out. So reach out to your priest if you are afraid, and if you have not made it to communion as well, ask him. Say, Father, if I come to you for confession in an appointment, is there any chance that I can receive the Eucharist? At least ask. He may say no, but he may say yes, friends. And it is the body and blood, soul and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ right there in the Eucharist. Did you hear the birds sing when I said it? Oh my goodness, the little one ran right up to me. It was so beautiful, friends. God bless you. I hope you're having a productive Lent, and we're going to have some more silly little videos with crafts. I hope you enjoy them. God bless you, friends.